Hi, welcome back to the Launch Point Leader podcast. My name's Lori.
And this is Beau.
And we're so excited to be back here for another week to share with you a letter a listener has written into us about just a phase that they're in their leadership journey, some things that they've been going through. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into their letter today.
Dive in.
So it says, Dear Launch Point, I hope you're both doing well. I'm writing because I'm starting to notice an issue with a coworker that's impacting my team. I've worked with them for almost 6 years now, and they've been at the company for over 15. We've had a great track record together, and there have been a few big wins in the past that have really helped move the company as a whole forward. Recently, though, they really seem to be coasting off their past success without bringing fresh ideas to the table. They're really relying heavily on what they've done in the past and don't seem to be as engaged or motivated in new projects that come up. As a team, we're moving forward, and there's a lot of momentum right now. But this person's lack of contribution is starting to feel like a drag on the rest of us. We've tried to bring it up, but it's tough to address without creating tension or seeming like we're not appreciative of all the things that they've done in the past. How do you recommend handling the situation? I don't want to discourage them, but I also don't want to let them slip into complacency while the rest of us are pushing forward. How do I have this conversation without feeling like a criticism of their past accomplishments or that I don't value the work the two of us specifically have done together? Thanks for your insight. Stagnant Success.
Just want to kind of ease the audience's mind here. You're not talking about me, right? This isn't, you didn't write this letter to me.
Episode could have been the biggest twist of all time, but no, in fact, this was someone
I've done it longer
writing
than that.
it. Yeah.
6 years close, so, okay.
A little over 6 years now, actually.
Okay.
I've been here 6.5, so we're clear. I didn't write it about you.
0.5. Okay,
Yeah.
Clearly it's not
that
about
half a
me.
year pushed us.
That's great. And also, I just was going to say, like, this couldn't be about me because there was a time that we were thinking about innovating in one of our companies with drones.
That's true.
And food delivery and that kind of stuff.
But you know what? You also...
It got shot down, though, Lori.
Oh, hard.
Everyone shot it down.
Immediately.
So
lots
I'm doing
of
a podcast
lots
now.
of laughs and chuckles, things like that. But
belly laughs.
There are some other situations where you've brought out something, people have laughed, and then a couple years later, it's like, that's the idea. That's what we're doing.
It's the one.
So you know what? Drones are coming. And they have the videos online now where Walmart delivery by drones.
We could have been first.
We could have been.
We could have been first. And I wasn't a great enough leader to make it first.
Yeah, you should have.
Dadgummit. Okay, this isn't about me. Great.
Pulled the boss card out on that
All
one.
right, so I think this is a great write-in because I believe this probably happens in more teams than anybody is willing to admit. It's rare that you get a team that has been there the same length of time, that's the same experience level, the same passion, the same age. And so that's the part of being a leader, is trying to figure out how to work all those folks together. They mentioned some of the things that I was going to say in their letter, but I don't want to gloss over it.
Right.
I know that our listeners don't know this, and it's probably new for you too. I have some seasoning on me, if you will.
Okay.
And so, meaning I'm old. I've been around for a little bit.
Got it.
Right?
I was like, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Did that go over?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like seasoning. I was like, you've gotten tan as we're getting into warmer months. I'm thinking.
That's it. I made some
past
steaks
experiences.
For dinner
I don't know.
got some on me. Yeah. So I've been around the block a bit, and so I think sometimes, what people want that have been there, done that, is the acknowledgement that not the only reason, but one of the main reasons that we're here today, and this isn't about, I'm not speaking about me, I'm speaking about, I think, people in general that have done things, is one of the main reasons that we're here today and able to do the job that we get to do today and create the future is because of what a person or a group or a team has done in the past.
Yeah.
And just like the people that have done those things in the past can't sit in the past, like it sounds like this person might be doing, the people that are here now that want to create the future can't do so without acknowledging the work that's been done in the past to build a platform for them to stand on to go and create what's next. So sometimes it's just a proper acknowledgement of, man, I'm so thankful that you were doing this 15 years ago when A, B, and C was true, which today we would be like, that's crazy to think
Right.
about. But you did it, you endured, you had the grit to do it, and you're still here. Sometimes that's all it takes. And I don't think that's an ego stroke as much as it is just an acknowledgement of, hey, I think from a person that's been here for 15 years, you got to look at it from their perspective and go, okay, they've done so much work to get us here. And at some point here used to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like where we are today used to be the future. And now we're there. And this team together now over 6 years and that are newer are going, hey, this is where we're going, right? And so we just want to acknowledge that once was them and they got us to this point. Mm-hmm. So once that's out of the way, and there's nuances to that.
Yeah.
There's nods to the past that I think we need to go to. But once that's out of the way, this person also has to get back on board. If they want to be a part of what's next, they've got to remember they were once a part of what was, they created next, and that's the only reason they're still here.
Yeah.
And so I think there's this idea is if you're working together with them, honor what they've done and then go and think about what's ahead. And so we want to create this now for the next generation of people. And we don't want you to stop yet.
Right.
Because you've done such great work to get us to this point. We need your insight and wisdom to get us to the next point. But you can't stay with what you've done in the past.
Yeah. As I was reading this, I was almost putting myself in the mentality of the other person, even though, I'm lightly seasoned, I guess you would say, in the metaphor we've been building here.
Sure. I'm charred.
Sure.
You're just,
Sure. We'll start at medium.
You're just starting your cook.
Yeah, there we go. I still have times where I look back at what people are doing today and our newer leaders and go, oh, you have no idea what it was like back then, like what we were going through in theory 6.5 years ago. Isn't that long ago? But when you look at how far we've come, it can be interesting to see those changes. And so put that on top of more than double the amount of time. I can imagine as that person, it can be hard to go be, you're probably well beyond what they were even dreaming of back then. And so there is that you were talking about. But I think as the person, it's really cool you were mentioning the momentum your team is building. It's like you're feeling this excitement and the energy in the room is building. And I think it's maybe ask that person and bring them in, especially because it sounds like the two of them specifically are working together, right? They have had wins just as a duo. Have the conversation, what's exciting you in the future? What's next for you? You kind of get into their mindset in that way a little bit and see where their head is at right now. And maybe it's because where they see the future and where the team is, maybe for the first time for them, is no longer matching up. And that can be an off-kilter scenario.
Yeah, I think that's good. So once you've established that you've honored their past contributions, they definitely have to get on board with the rest of the team for where we're going. Because at that point in time, it becomes more of a character issue, I think. If they're not on board with where the team is going, they need to get off the team.
Yeah.
Because if the team is building momentum, and there's a clear direction for where we're going, we've all got to be rowing the boat in the same way, regardless of what's happened in the past, for us to get to where we want to go to in the future. So absolutely correct on that. I think one of the other things that I would say is, how are we using their insight and then connecting it to, so how are we using their insight for the past and what's worked then and connecting it to what we want to see in the future?
Sure.
And so the strategy and the tactics might be a little bit different, but if we can listen for some of the behaviors or the mindset that worked in the past, it could help us in the future too. So that might be a connecting point for these two leaders as well, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think as I'm looking at this letter specifically and how to, for this person, because I'm almost reading this as if they're not the leader of the team, they're a member of the team alongside this person. So maybe in the perspective of, if I'm just a team member and I am feeling that our team is being hurt by the individual, what's the best way to approach that?
Well, I think I would go back to maybe the super basics is, what as a team have we agreed on that we are going to go do? And how are we measuring that? both as a team collectively and as individual performers. Do we have a solid evaluation system that show as a team and as an individual, are we achieving the metrics and the behaviors that we need to achieve in order to get to where we said we're all going to go? And then third, what are the consequences around that?
Sure.
And I think for me, those are the super basic things, but oftentimes they get overlooked because we want to feel and we want to be all in together. But if they're not specific behaviors that you're looking for and evaluating and having to, bring accountability to, then that's gonna cause you to stray regardless. So I think in this scenario, that's what I would say is where I would start, is everybody on that team's got to be held to the same behavioral standards, the same attitude standards, the same numerical standards. And if that's the case, oftentimes that will either eliminate the problem or it will clearly define what the problem is. And so then I think once you've got that clearly defined problem, then it goes back to that one-on-one, me and you talking it out, talking about data, talking about logic, not feelings and
Facts,
emotions.
not feelings,
right. Then it goes to 2-on-1, then it goes to group-on-1. And it's like we want to work you through this process if we have to, because we value who you are. But what we value more than just you as an individual is the entirety of the company and all the people in it, and all the people will impact in a positive way by doing this the right way.
That's good. I think that's exactly what I was thinking about when I posed that question, because I think the heart of it is, where do I start? How do I start that conversation? I think you've kind of got an outline here. You start with, you sit down with them one-on-one, you honor their contribution, you kind of talk about that, and maybe share an experience from the past you guys have had together, like make that connection clear, make your acknowledgement of that clear. But then it's looking at those measurements, looking at the facts, and having a very honest conversation and looking at where they are as a whole, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the easiest situation to deal with.
No, it's not, because we say facts, not feelings, but your relationship as just humans is involved in this as well.
But I will say, as I said before, as being a seasoned person, sometimes all it takes to break down a barrier or a wall is just the acknowledgement that, man, you really helped get us to where we are today to even be talking about what's next. And we really appreciate that.
That's true.
Now, let's go and let's go get it. And for the person that is on the other side of this, the 15-year person, the best piece of advice, and I know you're listening, right? The best piece of advice I could give somebody on that side of this scenario is go find somebody that's brand new doing the same job you're doing that you've done for 15 years and see what they're doing different. See what their passion is, see what they're looking at, see what their routines are, because that will ignite you and challenge you to go, whoa, okay, I might not agree with everything, but if I can be a learner, because leaders are learners, and we have to be a lifetime learner if we're going to be a lifetime leader. Yeah. So go and find those brand new people that are doing your role and go, what are you thinking about today? What are you seeing? And how can I benefit from that to stay sharp? So even as that 15-year-old veteran, boy, you got to sharpen the sword, and iron sharpens iron. So go find somebody else and learn from them.
It's good. And my last piece of advice, I think, for you, Stagnant Success, would be maybe just send this episode out to your team. Throw it out there, see how it lands.
Yeah, absolutely. Or book a coaching session.
Yeah, that's true. But thank you so much for writing in. I hope, this has given you some great ideas of how to approach that conversation. I think it's important to have the conversation, doing what you're doing exactly right, not just watching it happen and kind of worrying about the future, but showing you not only care about your team, but that individual, you want them to succeed with you all, I think is really awesome. So thank you so much for writing in. If you or someone else out there wants to write us in about what you're going through, something you've seen in the past, maybe something you just want to share, a story of something you've overcome with the audience, we would love that. You can always write us in at launchpointleader.com, right on our website. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
I love it. Take care.